Hello, I'm Nelson Burton. Welcome to a special edition of Indigenous Circle. I'm near the small town of Kemmel in southern Belgium. The meadow behind me is peaceful today, but it was a much different scene 90 years ago. Thousands of Canadian soldiers fought and died in this area, and many of them were Aboriginal. Now, a group of veterans, spiritual leaders, and youth are here to honor those who made the ultimate sacrifice. Calling home, the Aboriginal Spiritual Journey continues right after these messages. It's been 61 years since Leo Goulet set foot on Juno Beach. It was a much different scene back then. On June 6, 1944, Goulet was among 20,000 Canadian soldiers who landed here on the north coast of France.
What we can do, we couldn't do very much in here when we was facing these machine guns and these pillboxes. We was like more or less like shooting ducks, so we couldn't very well defend ourselves. We had to just keep moving to shore.
2,500 Canadians would die that day. Leo, like most who came ashore here, is reluctant to relive the conflict.
When I look at that beach there, I always think about the ones that were laying there that never made it back. So it's pretty hard to say what I felt like at that time.
A man of few words, Leo does recall fighting his way inland, only to be captured by the Germans and taken as a prisoner of war.
Then we did marches about, I don't know, maybe 70, 80 kilometers. And then they put us in the boxcars for about 30 days, I guess, in hot July. Shipped us up into the interior of Germany, someplace in a concentration camp.
11 months later and 60 pounds lighter, Leo was released. His life changed forever. Even though he survived, Leo Goulet is uncomfortable in this place, which changed the course of the war.
I don't know, right now, I don't know. I just feel like I don't belong here or something. I don't know, it's just something that I never did belong in here in the first place when I landed 61 years ago.
And Leo is not alone.
The pipe is here to call home the spirit of our fallen soldiers.
He is one of over 200 Canadians visiting major European battlefields from World Wars I and II. For each, it is a sacred mission, a calling.
We came to Europe to call home the spirits of our fallen warriors, all nations, the Inuit, the Métis, and the First Nations. That's something that has never been done.
The Calling Home Spiritual Journey is a deeply rooted part of Aboriginal culture, a dream come true for some, a vision foretold by others. It is, if nothing else, a moment of transition. Ed Bouchard is a Métis elder. The spiritual leader and war vet has been instrumental in the journey's planning and organization. Gathering spirits is often done when death is sudden and the body is not laid to rest amongst its own.
The journey started in Canada with the vision shared amongst warriors and pipes, and the ceremony to gather those spirits was done here.
It is almost as though this wooded hillside near the town of Kemmel in Belgium was designed for the calling home ceremony. Ironically, it sits atop an Allied bunker, sharp contrast to its pristine beauty and enveloping tranquility, an ideal setting for veterans and their memories.
The Creator was here. Our warriors were here. The grandmothers, the grandfathers of old, they helped, and our journey is now just starting.
It's important to realize that on this place, people from all parts of the world came here to die in the war. So every country in the world has members of his population that are buried in Belgium, in Flanders.
Cameras are not allowed inside the actual ceremony, but were allowed before and after the event. The calling home ceremony is not easy. 4 days of fasting, sweat lodges, prayers, all with the goal of awakening the spirits.
I believe we had as many as 28, 30 pipes here, all from different nations, and they're all praying together. All the elders were telling us that this is the first time, and these were men in their 80s, this is the first time they've seen this many pipes come together for one reason.
The small Belgian town of Kemmel has never forgotten its young soldier heroes. Every year, locals remember their sacrifice. But the calling home is special, different. Everyone welcomes it.
And now the ceremony that we have now is something more than what usual takes place. It's very particular also, calling the spirits home. It's maybe strange for modern people, but we find it important that this can happen.
But this odyssey for the unsettled spirits is not Kemmel's alone. And it's not always the somber, reflective exercise some might envision. Music and laughter punctuate moments of reflection, a welcome break from dark memories and souls in limbo. The traditional dancers and singers are a catalyst for joy everywhere they go. On this day, elementary students in Belgium try their footwork at a traditional Cree dance.
That was great, it was awesome. It was an honor to receive all the different tribes and to be able to announce them and to see what they do here. So I think the children had a day that they won't forget.
Song and dance are part of the calling home spirits. Many believe they are awakened by the sounds and the sights. Lauren Gardapi is a dancer from Beardes-Okamasis First Nation near Saskatoon.
A great feeling of pride and thinking that I would rather not be anywhere else than right here, right now. And wanting to learn a little bit more about them and their culture and their background, just as much as they want to learn about us.
And bridging the gap is vital to the journey. The journey is as important to the people of Belgium and France as it is to the Canadian visitors.
When this many people died in 2 world wars in these countries in Europe, it's going to affect those people because those spirits are still here, and they're unsettled spirits.
Marion Larkman is a Métis War veteran from Ontario. She served World War II as a cook. Her husband navigated the churning waters of the English Channel, dropping off soldiers on D-Day for an uncertain future. Marion is doing her part to call the warriors home. A visit to Benay-sur-Mer War Cemetery is overwhelming.
I mean, we left our boys here. The people looked after them here. Our grave sites, look, beautiful. Beautiful grass, everything. The stones are beautiful. We couldn't have asked for better. Now we are retrieving their memories and we're taking them back home to be planted in our area where we shall be able to stand on November the 11th and pay our respects to them there.
And that is the blessing, to have those warriors finally come home where they can witness our children's laughter and witness our song and join in our round dance and in all the things that make us Canada.
Indigenous Circle is calling home. The Aboriginal Spiritual Journey continues right after these messages. This is Vimy Ridge, the site of one of the bloodiest battles of World War I. The trees are all hand planted, and directly below them are the remains of trenches and bomb craters, a grim reminder of all the fallen warriors. The Battle of Vimy Ridge is among the most well-known battles of the 20th century. In 1917, over 10,000 Allied troops fought and died here. Their task was formidable. The Germans had built an elaborate system of trenches and barbed wire. Below ground tunnels were dug by both the Germans and Canadians. Deep bomb craters remain. Today, the 250 acres in northern France is a lasting reminder of the Battle of Vimy Ridge. For safety reasons, the area is cordoned off by an electric fence because undetonated bombs remain. A cemetery sits among the trees. Many of the dead are Canadian. Most gravesites have no names. Below the tree line, hundreds more bodies have never been recovered.
It really touches me, to be in these grave sites. There's so many of the Napehkasoinog laying all over. So many of them, they were so young when they came across to come and fight for our country.
France and Belgium have borne the brunt of the two world wars. Ypres, a Belgian city with a population of about 30,000, was leveled by bombs and fire during World War I.
All buildings were destroyed. You will not find a building here that is older than 85 years.
Almost miraculously, the city was rebuilt in its original style, from the cathedral right down to the cobblestone streets. Monique Vandenweg and her family own a restaurant a short distance from where the calling home ceremony took place. In 1917, the area was much different. On the same hill where the restaurant now sits, Germans waited to ambush Canadian soldiers.
It was a very bad place for the English, the French, and also the Canadian soldiers. It was from 15 to 18, a very bad place.
All these years later, it's become a place of harmony and hospitality. Monique's family often reaching out to feed the travelers, supplying them with shovels and tools.
From our warriors to you, our family in Belgium, I thank you.
To cry. So we were so also emotional when my son said, "Mama, we will cry." It's the first time we have this emotion with people of the other side of the ocean. It was wonderful, it was interesting, it was all what you like.
Days earlier, the woods came alive with song and prayer. There's no doubt the calling home ceremony was working.
It's funny how the grandfathers come and visit us, how the wild animal here in the forest have come down and prayed with us and stayed with us until our pipes are laid down. To watch the eagle fly overhead, and people say they've never seen an eagle here, but we've had the eagle here 4 times.
When you see an eagle fly around, when something happens, there's a reason, there's a purpose for it. If there's an animal that shows up that signifies the belief within our Aboriginal people, it's there, well, that signifies something. It's a belief system that all Aboriginal people have.
And almost every day they would stop by and watch us. And then they'd get up and leave after a while. Almost when we left, they would get up to leave, It was amazing. So we just got used to them being around.
And deers are the ones that most of them carry the spirit, to acknowledge our veterans that were here, because there are the messengers that brought us our warriors back to help us take them home on their journey.
We believe that all the spirits were starting to congregate here, and animals were seeing them and looking at them as well.
250 miles away, the Canadian contingent works together to provide a roadmap for the spirits. An Inuit Inukshuk is unveiled at Juno Beach.
A window that looks across the vast ocean between France and Canada, who fought side by side and shoulder to shoulder against tyranny.
Governor General Michaëlle Jean represents Canada in her first official function abroad.
We were all together, we were telling the world, we were telling France, Europe, and also Canadians, the contribution of all the Aboriginal peoples.
Providing comfort where she could.
I will always stand by you. Always.
And sharing in the joy, laughter, and music.
when I listen to those drums, they're really like, I feel that it should be like everyone's heartbeat.
Lauren Duquette is one of several young people on the journey. Dancing with the Governor General, a rare moment in a young man's life.
I gave it my all and started swinging her around, and it was a blast. I mean, come on, I mean, you know, the beaches in Normandy, I'm never going to be able to do this ever again. So I took the opportunity, and, you know, the limelight, you know, it's shining.
Besides young dancers and chaperones, 12 young Aboriginal Canadians were chosen to represent fallen soldiers.
My great-grandfather served in both World War I and World War II, and you know, I just think it's really important for the youth to remember the war veterans, not just the Aboriginal veterans, but like everybody.
I wanted to come because I wanted to be a role model and represent my province and the youth, and to support veterans and elders, and to show that to show that no one should be forgotten.
You could feel all the spirits that were there. It was I've never felt a thing like that before. It was awkward at first, but I'm glad that I could be part of this once in a lifetime thing.
15-year-old Sierra Noble is a long way from her Manitoba home.
It's hard to be here, especially on Juno Beach.
The Métis performer from Winnipeg, a fiddling sensation, played at every ceremony the delegation took part in.
Like, I'm 15, and most of my friends are around the age that the young men died on this beach and all over this country. And I don't know, it's but it's at the same time a really warm feeling to know that they're all coming home with us.
Sierra, like many, feels the spirits, almost supernatural in nature, but common to many on the journey.
A lot of the spirits have been coming to me.
The moments have a telling effect on the travelers.
The spirits are coming to all of us to take them home. And I know myself, the first couple days I didn't know what to do. And I felt bad because I didn't know how to help them.
The feeling of helplessness is overwhelming but natural, according to spiritual leaders. Awakened, however, the spirits are ready for their journey home.
All of them are coming in. We're not leaving one behind.
Every night since 1928, except during the Second World War, the last post has sounded here at the Memorial Arches of Menin Gate in Ypres. This is the first time Aboriginals are taking part in the ceremony. A ceremony unlike any other. Thousands of townspeople gather to catch a glimpse of Aboriginal culture at its finest.
You can imagine that through all this time, I met a lot of people at the gate, the Queen of Britain, the Pope, Mother Teresa, etc., etc. But this was absolutely unique.
For most, this night was the climax of the week-long spiritual journey. Canada's Veteran Affairs Minister, Albina Guarnieri, traveled with the delegation from beginning to end.
Canadians need to know their history. Canadians need to know that the Aboriginals contributed so much to the liberation of the world. And when Canada was in crisis, you know, Aboriginals were there, they stepped up to the plate.
And then, without warning, the sky fills with red. 10,000 poppies, a vivid reminder of those who fought and died. Young and old, war vets and those who have never raised a gun, all grasping for a keepsake of a moment etched in time.
In the peace of the present, you can feel the pain from the past.
I'm very honored to be here again, where I did my part and other veterans. See the names on the wall there. These are the ones that we must not forget.
I live here. I've been to many last post ceremonies, often with very important persons, but this was far away the most impressive one I have ever been witness to. It's just so overwhelming. I've met a culture that I've never known from, and it's so impressive.
As the sky clears and celebrants make their way home, no matter who you ask, everyone agrees the journey has been a success. The spirits of Aboriginal soldiers and others are now ready for the journey home.
So it ended up being for all of the, not just the Aboriginal soldiers, but all the soldiers that were here. And in that way that they would, the local people of these countries where all of these dead were, that heaviness is going to be lifted.
Our prayers don't distinguish between those who were our enemy. Our prayers are for all warriors, the spirits of those warriors who we left on the battlefield, those with graves and those without graves, those who never made it ashore at Juno Beach, those who have no known home.
But the mission isn't done just yet. Returning home, those on this odyssey must now find a place for the spirits to rest.
I found some graves of our people in Saskatchewan, and I'm taking home, in my way, I'm taking back their spirits. When I get back to Saskatchewan, I'm going to be going to the reserves where the person I had found here to go give to their respective reserves, and that's my duty here.
Thousands of miles away, the calling home ceremony continues. Back home on the Beardy's Okanagan's First Nation, Lauren Gardapi has put aside traditional dance and entertainment to fulfill a sacred duty.
There are some things that happened over there that we didn't really know how to explain, and maybe they're not for us to understand.
As he walks among the graves of his ancestors, Lauren Gardapi's thoughts are of a ceremony months ago and many, many miles away, and how in some perfect yet unexplained design of culture and cause, many become one. I'm Nelson Burt. Thanks for watching Calling Home the Aboriginal Spiritual Journey.